Alrighty, so now, new video. So I was talking with my friend Dia about doing baby hats, and I told her I would be willing to throw a video up quick of the style of baby hat that I like to do. So, bear with me, I hope this translates. So to do a baby hat, first thing you want to remember if you're doing a baby hat for preemies or you're doing it for any kind of a newborn that might have some kind of like a skin issue of any sort. Baby skin is really, really fragile. Newborn skin is super fragile, and preemie skin is like tissue paper. So you don't want to use the sport weight yarn like what I'm using here. I'm doing it because it's thicker and you can see it better and stuff. You want to use baby yarn, and you don't want to use baby yarn if you can avoid it that has like the special little mylar thread woven into it that gives it all that pretty little sparkle and everything. Because that can be scratchy. The other thing you want to try to avoid is you want to try to avoid seams. So if you're a knitter, that's generally not too big of a problem because you can knit the hat in the round, whether you do it on needles or whether you do it on like a nifty knitter. But for crochet, I'm going to show you how you can do it with only one teensy little seam, and that's on the outside of the hat, so it won't make a difference. So you start with your slip knot, start with your loop on your chain, or on your hook. Do 5 chains. 4, 5, okay? Now you're going to go back in the second chain from the hook, single crochet in that and in each of the next 3, so you should have 4 stitches. Okay? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Then chain 1. Okay? Now, when you go back, what you're going to do is you're going to put 4 stitches in each row at this point. But they're all going to be single crochets, and they're all going to go in the back loop of each row. So there's 1, go in the back loop, makes 2, going again in the back loop, 3, and 4. Now, why are we going in the back loops? Chain 1, turn. We're going in the back loops because that gives you the ribbed effect. And when you have a ribbed hat like this, it stretches. Okay. So you can see I already did a chunk here in this real pretty red. Seems to be my color of the day. So let's get this out of the way. Okay, so once you have made, you're going to go back and forth like that, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you get about, I don't know, however many inches you need. The standard newborn head, they say the circumference of the standard newborn head is 13 to 14 inches. You can find sources online that will give you the circumference of heads, the length of limbs, and the length of bodies, the standard length of bodies and limbs and such, based on the poundage of your newborn, even the preemies, the teensy preemies, like pound preemies, and even smaller. So if you're going to make clothing for those types of very, very special little babies, you may want to look those kinds of numbers up so that you don't make something that they're going to swim in, because you would be surprised at how absolutely teensy tiny some of these little tiny preemies are. It's completely unfathomable that a human being can be that size outside of the body. So anyway, so here we have this band. This is going to be the brim of our hat. And we're just going to assume that this is the length that we want, which it's not, but we're going to work with it. So I've done my last row here, and I did my single chain. Now I'm going to go in, and I'm going to catch a stitch on the edges. So I'm just going to go along and just do a single crochet all the way along, just to finish out this edge so that it's a nice neat edge. You can see how that's going, right? Hope my music isn't too loud. I just wanted something a little bit funky to throw on. But you want to space out your stitches fairly evenly going all the way along here. Okay? But you can see, if you look at that, you'll see how you're getting a nice clean edge there on the top. Okay? Now let's just pretend that, I'm going to rip that out, but let's pretend that I just finished all of that, okay? And let's say that I am at the end of that row, okay? So you'll do 1 chain. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your 2 edges together, Okay. We'll go this way with it. Put your two edges together, and you're going to go in this stitch here from this edge, go in this stitch from this edge. And you should do about 4 slip stitches this way. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and finally here is 4. You might have to do 5 depending on that last row that you just slapped on there. Remember that we just did with the single crochets? So there's our last one. Okay, chain 1. Now here's where the hat part comes in. So you have a nice little brim. The only seam is right here, and it's on the back of the hat and on the outside. The inside is a nice clean seam. See that? Okay, flip her back. Got your 1 chain on there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to chain up 2. 1, 2. And you're going to jump into this first stitch here. Do a double crochet. Do another double crochet. Okay. There's a cluster. You're going to skip this stitch, go into the next one, do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Skip that stitch, go into the next one. 1, 2, 3. My cat is helping me yet again. Stop helping, cat. There's my 3. Okay. And you're going to do this going all the way around. So you'll skip 1, go into the next hole. 1, 2, 3. Skip 1, go into the next hole. 1, 2, 3. Skip 1, go into the next hole. 1, 2, 3. Skip 1, go into the next hole. 1, 2. I know this is a little bit like watching paint dry quickly, but I kind of have to do this to get to the other side so I can show you what we do next. 1, 2, 3. Now, this is a very simple pattern. I like this one, and you know you have to kind of do a tester with your hook to see how big of a hook you need to work with or how small of a hook you need to work with. You know, hook size is going to change, stitch size, and you're going to have to use smaller hooks for using the little tiny baby yarn, and you know, just kind of play with your swatches beforehand. I know a lot of us maybe don't do that. We're just kind of freeform crocheters, but there is an importance to it when you have to do something as precise as this. You know, where just like 5 stitches can throw everything off in something this teensy. So now this would be about the size, this hat here at the rate that we're going, this would probably be about the size of a 4-pound baby. Maybe a 3-pound baby. How do I know this? I used to do a project where I made clothing and hats, and specifically I made burial gowns, and I would donate them, and I would make burial wraps for preemie babies, because it's extremely difficult to find clothing anywhere for preemie babies. And you know, even if you have a 2 or 3 pound baby and that baby isn't going to survive in this mortal world with us, and you have to, God forbid, bury this baby, you don't want to just wrap this baby up in a tissue. You want to honor this baby the same way you would anyone who's lived in this world for however long. So I used to make little burial gowns. So I know a little bit about sizing. Okay, so here we are. We've hit the end You see we have one stitch, but then we have the next stitch is filled with this guy. So we're going to do a join, and we're going to join this like we would with a granny square. So we'll go into the top of that first chain, slip stitch it, and then into the double crochets, slip stitch them. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into these holes. So we're doing the double crochet into the hole. So 1, 2, 3. And then just keep going around like that, okay? And you're going to do this until your hat reaches the height that you are looking for. Now you can do a standard little hat and just go a couple of inches. You know, for a hat this tiny, it's just a couple of inches. Like this row will be a plenty for this hat. In fact, I'm going to finish it off as such. You can make longer stocking caps if you want, but remember to be kind of practical, because these babies, you know, if they're babies that are going to be staying in the hospital for a while, there might be tubes that they have to deal with. They have to be able to access the baby's head. The hats really are functional, not fashionable in babies this small, because babies that tiny, they can't generate their heat the same way bigger babies can, like full-term babies can. So yes, they have them in a little incubator to keep them warm, but you know, most of our heat leaves through our head. So these hats are very, very functional. The holes in the hats that you would be making with the baby yarn will not have holes this big, because the yarn won't be this large, and neither will the hook. So the heat will stay much closer to baby's head, therefore keeping baby warmer. So keep that in mind. You don't necessarily want to go with long, beautiful, stripy Dr. Susie looking stocking caps necessarily, because that's fairly impractical. The doctors and nurses are going to have a hard time negotiating around that. And it's just more for looks. So just some thoughts. You know, keep this stuff kind of in mind as you go along. We're about halfway there. Okay, if I'd stop pulling at my yarn and actually just crochet, you could watch me go a lot faster. 3. Got one more set here. 1, 2, and 3. I crochet like the wind. My grandmother was always so impressed with how fast I could crochet, and I in turn was always so impressed by how fast she could knit. We would actually sit there and we would craft together when I'd go home to visit, and just kind of marvel at the speed of the other one. So now here we are. So we have a decision to make. Given the shaping of this hat at this point, how it's kind of coming out, I'm going to skip going into this hole, and instead I'm going to go straight into the join. So I'm going to catch the top here. So there's my single crochet there. And that's not too big of a hole, that's fine. Or not single crochet, I'm sorry, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch. One more into the big hole just for good measure, and I'm actually going to finish this hat off where it is. So what I like to do is I like to do a couple of chains to finish off, and I'll usually snip. Usually I'll snip it right here so I don't have a ton of a tail, but I want a long tail, because after we pull it through for the finish, this is where you would take either a tapestry needle, or if you're clever with your hook, you can go through and you're going to weave that tail in. So I'm going to do it with my hook, because I hate having 15,000 tools sitting around to be used. So I'm going to pull that through. Always give it a little bit of room to breathe, because if you don't, then you're choking it off and it becomes a pain in the neck and all that jazz. Try to be careful not to catch your stitches as you go through, which is why doing it with a tapestry needle is so much handier, but yours truly is lazy and efficient. Pick one. So then the problem you have is, now where do we go with it? So I'll sometimes go backwards and weave in from backwards. Doot, 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 doot. I don't like doing the whole hat all at once, because when you do the whole hat all at once, if you drop that stitch in there, it's just much more of a pain in the neck. Doot, 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 doot. Oh, biscuits. Come through there, you. Come through. There's that. Okay. And then we're going to go And you weave this in until you get back to your beginning, which is right here. This would be called making the baby hat jazz. Okay. And we'll go, let's see, we'll go right here with it. Oh, biscuit sakes. Don't mean to go so close to you guys there, sorry. Okay, so that's the last of the weaving. I just have to pull it through. Weave it through, coming through, coming through. There we go. Come on, come through. There we go. So then you just kind of pull that drawstring style, just like that, and you see we have a tiny, tiny little hat. So yeah, that's actually probably about a 2 to 3 pound baby right there. Okay. So then when you drawstring that, then you can go back in with either your needle or your hook, however it is that you choose to do it, and finish that off. So I'm just going to grab it with the hook here, and I kind of do like a couple of pass-throughs, like comes through there, comes through there, okay, and then I'll knot it. And if you want to put the teensiest little pom-pom or something on here, you could do that at this point. So now I've kind of got her knotted off. Maybe I'll put an extra little knot in there just for measure, because this is on the top of the hat anyway. So it's not going to touch baby's head. That hard, scratchy knot won't be touching baby. Okay. Trim your tail. Weave your tail in however it is that you choose to weave it in. For the sake of lazy right now, because we all know how to weave tails, I'm just going to grab it and pull it on the inside so we don't have to see it. There we go. Don't forget this one down here, which I would normally have picked up in my edging that I was talking about before. There we go. So there you go. That is teensy, teensy little baby hat. Very simple. I just made this in the space of about 25 minutes for this. Once you get used to it, if you don't have to sit there and talk about it to somebody like I'm kind of doing, you can probably make a regular preemie sized baby hat in about an hour, once you've kind of got it in your hands and figure out how it works. But yeah, that's just a tiny little hat right there. So I hope that helps. I hope you enjoyed that. I probably won't type this pattern in, but if you need me to type it up for you, let me know, and then I will add it down into the comments later. So, hope you enjoyed. Many blessings. Hope your babies love your hats. Thank you.